Hi, it's Patrick Hutzel from IntensiveCareHotline.com, where we instantly improve the lives of families of critically ill patients in intensive care, so that you can have peace of mind, real power, real control, and so that you can influence decision making fast, even if you're not a doctor or a nurse in intensive care. This is another episode of Your Questions Answered, and in last week's episode I answered another question from our readers, and the question last week was part 1 of "My auntie is in intensive care on ECMO for ARDS. We're very worried she may die. Help." You can check out the answer to last week's question by clicking on the link below this video. In this week's episode of Your Questions Answered, I want to answer another question from one of our readers, and the question this week is part 2 from the same reader from last week. So Lee this week is asking, "My auntie is in intensive care on ECMO for ARDS. We're very worried she may die. Help." So this is part 2. So Lee from the UK writes, "Hi Patrick, thanks for your help. I have been to visit my auntie today again, and when I arrived, the intensive care team had reduced sedation and oxygen levels. The dialysis machine has also been taken off. My auntie was alert to us and could understand us. Do you think she's over the worst? Do you think she can speak with the tracheostomy in? How long until the tracheostomy will be removed? Thanks for all your help. My mum has been listening to all of your YouTube clips and is now really positive. Thank you so much." Hi Lee, I'm glad to hear that your mother is staying positive as well. Staying positive is often half the battle, and yet most families of critically ill patients in intensive care struggle with staying positive because they are so far outside of their comfort zone. Therefore, I have written an article and done a video in the past how to stay positive if your loved one is critically ill in intensive care. You can check out the article or the video if you're clicking on the link below this video in the written version. It's also good to hear that sedation as well as oxygen levels have been reduced. They're all encouraging signs, especially after ECMO and ARDS. As a rule of thumb, nothing happens fast in intensive care, especially after a severe critical illness in intensive care such as ARDS with ECMO. It's often 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Keep looking for those small steps forward that your auntie is making. I don't think that your auntie is over the worst yet, especially since she's still ventilated with the tracheostomy. But reducing oxygen and sedation are good signs. As far as your auntie's tracheostomy and ventilation goes, know this. Weaning off the ventilator and tracheostomy can be a fairly lengthy process, especially if the lungs are still stiff, and it can be especially difficult and lengthy after ARDS and ECMO. As long as your auntie is fully ventilator dependent, she won't be able to talk. However, as soon as she can have time off the ventilator, they can try a speaking valve on the tracheostomy. In the meantime, make sure your auntie can communicate with writing or with a letterboard when she's more awake. Here is also a link to an article and a video that explains all about ventilation and tracheostomy. Tracheostomy and weaning off the ventilator in intensive care. How long can it take? So click on the link to this article. So stay positive and don't throw in the towel, even though your auntie may progress slowly. Critically ill patients in intensive care recover in their own time, no matter how much we want to speed up the process. Please let me know if you need any further help, and we can chat on Skype if needed. Thank you. So, how can you have peace of mind, control, power and influence whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care? You get to that all-important feeling of peace of mind, control, power and influence when you download your free Instant Impact Report now by entering your email below. In your free Instant Impact report, you learn quickly how to get peace of mind, real power and real control, and how you can influence decision making fast whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care. Your free Instant Impact report gives you in-depth insight that you must know whilst your loved one is critically ill or is even dying in intensive care. Sign up and download your free Instant Impact report now by entering your email below. In your free Instant Impact report, you learn how to speak the secret intensive care language so that the doctors and the nurses know straight away that you are an insider and that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care. In your free report, you will also discover how to ask the doctors and the nurses the right questions, discover the many competing interests in intensive care and how your critically ill loved one's treatment may depend on those competing interests. How to eliminate fear, frustration, stress, struggle and vulnerability even if your loved one is dying. You get 5 killer tips and strategies helping you to get on the right path to peace of mind, control, power and influence in your situation. You will get real-world examples that you can easily adapt to your and your critically ill loved one's situation. How to stop being intimidated by the intensive care team and how you will be seen as equals. You will get crucial behind-the-scenes insights so that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care and how you need to manage doctors and nurses in intensive care, and it's not what you think. Thank you for tuning into this week's Your Questions Answered, and I'll see you again in another update next week. Make sure you also check out our blog section for more tips and strategies, or send me an email to support@intensivecarehotline.com with your questions. Also check out our product section where you get more ebooks, videos and audio recordings, and where you can also get one-on-one consulting via Skype or over the phone with me. This is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecarehotline.com, and I'll see you again next week in another update.